So what comes inside? What is up? Welcome to Cutting Up. I am your host Mac, and I want to thank you for checking out this content. And you see the title of this one, and you see the state of my head right now. It's right about this time that we like to do another product review. We are going to be doing actually the OneBlade 360. This one's going to be interesting because I am a fan so far of the Philip Norelco electric shavers that I've gotten in the past, and the information will be below. First thing we're going to do is the unboxing experience. So I'm going to do what I do in always looking at the packaging. The packaging is bright. Aesthetically, the colors match. Strangely enough, if you watched any of my content before and see my thumbnails, you know I'm a fan of these navy colors and this neon green. It doesn't look like you're buying a super high-end product as far as the packaging goes, but that might not work against the product. This does look like something they intend for you to use, maybe not daily, but frequently. So we'll see how well that works. On the packaging here, I can tell that they intend to be able to move the OneBlade. From reading the packaging, I also saw something about 200 times per second. So this is kind of like a reciprocating blade that'll go back and forth. So I'm guessing that's what they're making reference to there. 12 different length settings is what it says on here. And it does have right here the lithium-ion battery, which says it will last 90 minutes. It is intended for the face, so if you go anywhere but the face with this, if you know what I mean, and get cut, they warned you, it is intended for the face, which I think means basically that there isn't the same kind of guard that you're gonna find on like body trimmers. This isn't much as saying on the packaging, but it's good to see that they're bragging about this. We need more corporations to be intended to be bragging about stuff like this. It says 90% less plastic, less is more, and it says compared to predecessor. That is kind of a little bit of a cheap way of getting around it though, because that's saying it's 90% less plastic than their previous time putting out this iteration. It's pretty lightweight as far as this. It doesn't feel like a cheap lightweight, but it doesn't feel like a very heavy trimmer, and that's in the box itself, so it's only going to get lighter from here. Before we go on and on about the box, this is intended for wet and dry shaves. It is 100% waterproof. The blade will last, according to this, 4 months. So what comes inside? The 360 blade for the face, handle with LED display, the 12 length adjustable comb, and one charger. I like that they put what comes in the box right here so you know exactly what it is. You won't accidentally throw anything away. If I'm nitpicking, I guess they could have made it a little bit bigger, but if you explore your box, you spend your money on stuff, you know, you need to take it back to the old school. Old heads like me will know, like when we used to buy CDs and stuff like that, we used to open up the jacket pocket, read through who the producers were, who wrote the lyrics, if the lyrics were in there. So explore your box. There's a lot of things that you will, wow. Explore your box is definitely going to be the quote of this video. Explore the box because you'll find that there are little tips and tricks on there. Let's see how hard this is to open up with human hands. Okay. I might not have to add any edits in here. This might just be able to open up in real time. Okay, so I'm liking the way that this opens out. It just seems to fold and has a little bit of a display. Very, very good as far as the presentation is. I can see the OneBlade itself, the detachable blade that's supposed to last 4 months, the comb. Let's see what they say here. Welcome to OneBlade. You can discover all its benefits, shaving and styling tips, even more on our Daily Care app. Download the Daily Care app. Everybody has an app now. So it has a little QR code that you can scan. I thought something might have been behind this little part here. I ripped that off. That's kind of dumb on my part because obviously the box is paper thin there, so there shouldn't be anything. If this was a gift for a first time shaver, you know, your young teenager, finally starting to grow some face whiskers, this is definitely a nice little touch. All that aside, aesthetics is not even half the battle. It's how well it performs. So let's get into that and see what it'll do. All right, so here is a close-up on everything that comes in the box that I can see so far. Here is the padding that's just intended to keep the OneBlade safe that I ripped off like a moron, thinking something of importance was behind it. There's your QR code. This, I have to say, is probably the most interesting guards I've ever seen. It's the most intricate, and instead of having multiple guards that you have to take off, this looks like you just kind of adjust it with a dial. That's gonna be interesting to see that on there and in use. Here is the device here. So this is the first time I'm actually holding the device in my hand. It is very lightweight, but without, again, feeling cheap, plasticky kind of feel. I'm just gonna hit the power button. And there we can see, this is gonna need a little bit of a charge. So through the magic of the video, we're gonna charge this up and continue the review. But we're gonna take a look at what else the box has inside. Here is the actual blade for it. And if you guys have watched any of my reviews before, you know I'm always impressed by when they give you a guard for this. And this looks like a high quality guard for the blade. There is the blade itself, which should be able to turn back and forth. We're gonna put that on there, install that. Seems to go in pretty easy. There's the eject for it. But this, I absolutely love that. So far, so good. That is definitely points one, because if you're good to your tools will be good to you. That is a high quality plastic cover that they put on there. And even when the blade is done, you can save this for the next replacement blades. It does look like it is going to be a proprietary blade, so I'm not super fond of that. I'm sure they might have a couple different products in there. But if you are a fan of this, if you end up being a fan of this device, it shouldn't be that bad to get some replacements for this. It's just you're not going to be finding any other uses for this other than these kind of OneBlades from Philips Norelco. All right, so before we get to charging this up, let's just explore the rest of the box. Just make sure there isn't any other goodies in there. Here is the instructions. We'll go ahead and read this while it charges. This, I'm assuming, the only other thing that could be in here is gotta be the charger. And again, points to Philips Norelco. This is specifically for points for me. This might not be points for you, but they keep on using the same charger. So if you've ever had any Philips Norelco products before, as far as their chargers, they're going to be universal. So I have a couple of these already. That is great that they have that, because you don't have to find the specific charger for the specific device. So points there, but very specific points. If this is your first Philips Norelco, this is not really going to mean much to you unless you become a fan of it. In the meantime, while we charge this thing up, I just want to see how this goes on to the blade itself. Okay. And this is without reading any of the instructions. It's pretty simple to figure out, because you see this little piece here and you see the dial here. You would imagine that's how it's going to adjust here. So there it is. And you can see it kind of ratcheting back and forth the blade. And they said there's 12, and there is a dial to know what number works well for you. So again, feeling pretty high end, but it's very simplified. I really like that. I'm looking forward to charging this thing up and seeing what it can do. So let's get to it. All right, so fully charged and ready to go. I am still digging how this looks with the shaver on. So I'll further explain how this works. Obviously, this is a 0, and the 12 different positions that this can be in the comb are all here. So they go in halves on the dial. So each one, that is 0.5 on the dial, 1, 1.5, and it keeps going all the way up to 9. Now after 4.5, if you look, it jumps to 5, 7, and then 9 to get all the 12 different places. And you can see the height difference between 9 and 0.5. Usually they throw like 3 or 5 combs in here. So regardless of how this performs, this is the most impressive one of these guards I have ever seen on any of them. The fact that it isn't multiple combs, it is just one. So obviously if you lose that one, you've lost all of them. But you're not going to lose the 5 or versus the 7 if you need the 3. You're not clipping on and on different ones unless you want the 0. You click this on one time and just adjust here up and down. I like that. That's a nice little detail they added onto it. Turning on the device for the second time, because we actually turned this on already when it wasn't charged, but turning on the device for the first time fully charged, The LED light on there is, how do I put this? It's adequate without overall being impressive. There's 3 bars there. There's no indicator of numbers or anything like that, but it doesn't take a genius to kind of tell that once you've hit that last bar, you're gonna want to maybe charge this up. It does say a 90-minute charge, so again, an hour and a half is not a long time, and I don't anticipate you using this thing forever. Lithium batteries are usually pretty lightweight, hence why this is so lightweight in the hand, and also makes it that it holds a charge pretty long. So we're gonna do a little bit of experimentation. I'm gonna see what it can do here. Even though it does say for the face, we're not gonna go into the body. I wanna see what it can do on what I have here, my growth. We're gonna touch some areas here. We're gonna try a little bit of beard trimming with it, see what it does as far as that's concerned. Playing around with this, see what it means by the motion on the blade, and that is either a good thing or a bad thing. The motion can definitely help you to contour on areas that you want, but in theory that works. In practicality, sometimes when they make these blades movable, what ends up happening is it's too movable. It contours, it's a little too sensitive and doesn't give you enough power when you're trying to really lean into some areas. But enough talk, let's see what it can do. Let's turn it on first. So it doesn't seem to have any other setting other than on and off. That could work to your benefit, or you could find that to not be all that impressive. So it's either you got nothing going on or you got the 200 revolutions per second. Not super loud, not super quiet either, but it's not something that's going to disturb someone in the room next to you, and you're not going to be using this for super long periods of time. It's definitely more quiet than if you got out your pair of like plug-in shares. So what did I learn from this thing here? Well, now that I'm starting to nitpick these more and more, this is one of those fold out ones. I will call it the poster style. If I'm nitpicking, I rather a booklet that I can just flip through, just because I find that these ones, especially if you want to keep these for longer term, is very, very thin when you end up folding it all the way out. But it's pretty simple. It gets into the do's and don'ts about how to clean this, not using harsh chemicals like gasoline or acetone. Not sure why you'd want to put that on your blade, but as far as me who likes to clean things with alcohol, it's still not suggesting that you clean with that, and that you do not clean the blade off with a towel or tissue, because that can damage the blade. Also, just like a fixed blade, you're not supposed to be banging this against the side to try to remove water or hair out of the device. It does say it's 100% waterproof, so you're safe to use this in the shower. Now, another thing about the battery that I was able to decipher reading it is that you're gonna get about a minute per minute of use charge. So it takes about 90 minutes to get to a full charge, and you will get about 90 minutes of use out of it. All of the reading, all the aesthetics aside, it's time to take this for a spin, take it for a ride, see what it can do, and let's do that right now. Let's see how this thing performs. So this is on 0. I have to say that I am impressed at the cut. You can see where what I was working with on this side was just mirrored to here. I didn't feel any tugs, any pulling, any kind of snagging, anything like that that happened while I was doing this. My only nitpick is that the blade is kind of small, so it's not necessarily going to be the best thing to do what I was just doing. But as far as how smooth I was able to get this on 0, this is definitely something that I can do an in-between shaves. If I want to give my head a break from a fixed razor, then this is another alternative to people who get razor bumps or have skin sensitivity and can't use a fixed blade. This is definitely an option. This blade is intended to kind of be a detailer and used in the facial here, so you're not gonna get this big everlasting long blade. As you can see, I wear about a size medium glove, and the blade against my index finger is a little bit longer than about the first knuckle on the finger there, or about the midsection there. So you can see it against my head how much it'll cut, but I am impressed at what I was able to do there. And in any direction, no nicks, no fuss, no mess. I gotta say, this is a win for what it's done there. We're gonna take it down here and see what it does. Now, a really good test for these also is I'm gonna do the zero blade and see what it does with the mustache. We're gonna check that out and see how well and precise of a detailing job I can do with that. I am not a trained barber, so I cheat. I use my little straight lines to get that. But we're gonna see what I'm able to achieve on this side, and we'll leave this side. Take a good look first. This is where we started. Duck lip time. Gonna try it here on the neck. I gotta say I'm impressed with what I've been able to do. The fact that I want to go straight over and do the other side, even though I'm supposed to be doing a comparison, is just a testament to how well this is. I don't know, I'm gonna have to try to reach out to Philips Norelco and see if I can get a sponsorship with these guys, because everything that I seem to get from these guys seems to be quality. I mean, I'm pretty much giving you the wrap up right now as is, but there's really no reason to waste your time. If I'm looking at what I was able to achieve here, it is probably about the same quality that I can achieve with an electric shears, which is impressive. And again, because the blade is small, which was something that I was nitpicking at when I did here, I don't run the risk of doing that much damage while I'm doing here. I'm even confident enough to do it freehand, and the fact that I can use the back of the blade and it's the same as here is impressive. One thing that I gotta say that I didn't anticipate seeing is how well it cuts. I have yet, between trying my scalp, on my face here in the cheek, above here in the mustache, and on my neck where I seem to have different hair textures, I've yet to have a snag, pull, any of that, and I haven't tried it with the comb yet. But so far, I mean, this is definitely worth the buy so far. Let's try it with the comb and see how impressive this is. So we're gonna go 2.5 and see what that does. Let's go all the way to 9 and see what that does. What I gotta say I like is the fact that you can seemingly go in either direction with the blade. Only thing I would say is if you do end up liking this and stick with this, be careful with the dial. It is very sensitive. Don't start up too high. It's better to start way down here at 9 and click down towards it, because I did take this down a little too far for my liking. I made a bit of a rookie mistake there, taking this down, but it looks like it does a pretty good job there. Again, I haven't felt any hair tugging or anything like that, and even with it on there, just to get my brush on there and get it cleaned up is pretty easy. I think I've seen enough of this thing to make my decision on whether or not this makes the cut, and spoiler alert, this does make the cut. Going over a full review, they already pretty much had me from when I saw the impressiveness of the case that they put to cover the blade. The time of length that they give you, about 4 months, they do suggest that is shaving about 2 times a week. I am not so sure if you're not going to be able to get a little bit more life out of your blade than that, but that is the suggestion of the product. If I'm nitpicking for the price point, maybe they could have included another blade or something, but in this economy, in these times with these big corporations, just getting this in there was enough for me. The plug is not a stand type of plug, but if you do have a Philips Norelco before and the plugs are interchangeable because they're all the same one, 90 minutes charge, 90 minutes of use, so about a minute per charge will give you a minute per use, and it does claim to be waterproof. I did run it just like I am now, underwater, and it doesn't seem to have any issues. Now, everything that I did was a dry shave, but I'm already jumping out the window and telling you that this is gonna make the cut and it is worth a buy, because I feel like with this added to your arsenal, there is no reason why this doesn't serve a purpose in there. If you are not gonna go to the extreme, or you're looking for something to travel with, of buying your own shears set or something like that, and you're not trying to spend a lot of money but you want a high quality outcome, this is going to be a buy for me. Also, the way the comb system is set up, you don't have multiple combs, you're not switching in and out, you're not putting a lot of strain on the actual blade itself. Putting this on and off is pretty easy without it pulling on the blade. And like I said, instead of switching different covers or different shields on here, you're just gonna adjust this. So I have to say, all in all, I am impressed with the aesthetic, with the quality of the cuts. I'm impressed with the product. Philips Norelco does not disappoint. Once again, the OneBlade 360 Pro is a buy for me. But for bonus points, let's do a wet surface shave and see what that ends up being like. All right, so all things even, I'm not using shaving cream right now. I'm just using a little bit of conditioner. The only potential for messing this up is to see how bad this gets gunked up by the conditioner or shaving cream. So we're gonna see with a wet shave on the other side what this does. And if there was marks higher than making the cut here, I would be giving it that. This was actually a smoother, which makes sense, a smoother experience than here. The glide on it was perfect. I don't feel like this has hyper gripping on this, but it has enough gripping here on the sides, just that if your hand gets a little damp, you know that wet hands are the enemy of a good shave, that you can still use this. The way that the OneBlade is designed to wash this underneath a faucet was quick and easy, and rubbing against this is definitely going to be 100% an alternative to a fixed blade for people who have issues with razor bumps or hypersensitive skin or anything like that. This is a buy for me. The only thing is the LED light is adequate without being overly impressive. I don't know if you can really see that, but it doesn't do much more than that. You can just kind of see that it comes on and it will shut off after a little bit of time. That's pretty much it. Everything else is pristine, and the only thing to look at is how much you'd really be spending on replacement blades for this. But outside of that, this is a buy. I'm keeping this and adding it to the arsenal. You guys check this out for yourself. Remember, they have a not one, but a 2-year warranty on the actual device itself, not on the blade and not on the comb system. So they're talking about just the electronic part itself here with the lithium battery. Is 2 years warranty. They will replace it, and they have a 45-day trial period where if you are not satisfied with it, they will give you your money back. Obviously, that's the company extending 15 days beyond your return policy if you're buying it in a brick and mortar store like I did. Under $70, it was $67.40 with tax to be exact, and I think it's worth every penny. The OneBlade Philips Norelco in the OneBlade Pro is definitely a buy for me. Looking forward to seeing what you guys think, what your experience is, and I'm excited to give people who can't use a fixed blade an alternative, a viable alternative from Philips Norelco. But you guys let me know below what you guys think of it. I want to hear from the Beard Gang. I want to hear from Ball Game what you guys think of this device. Until the next time we're cutting up, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.